Andy, it's starting to warm up here. We're in a pretty decent shape. It's starting to warm up, but we got a big weekend ahead. Andy, I'm looking forward to cleaning out my garage. It's about
That's a
that
big deal.
time.
Yeah, it's a very satisfying activity.
Well, it's like that end of like through Christmas, like the garage becomes like a way station.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
temporarily put things there and then you bring them back into the house when Christmas is all down. I finally have the weekend. I'm just going to go through all that stuff now. There's some stuff in there that just needs to go to the dump. I don't know if there's a more satisfying thing than taking things to the trash dump, Andy.
yeah. I love clearing stuff out. I've been on it's my second time around in recent years of doing a big basement cleaning, and I did a big garage clean a couple of years ago when I set up the gym in there, and I love it. I love getting rid of stuff, could just accumulate stuff as a family. And like,
Right.
why do we still have this? So yeah, I love. We actually just had a big Salvation Army pickup yesterday, which was really nice. We got rid of some furniture and old bikes and charity clothes we had sitting and waiting to be picked up and just hadn't been picked up. So yeah, I wish you luck. It's almost as satisfying as ripping off a scab. There's just something exciting about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hadn't really quite thought about comparing it to ripping off a scab, but I can see that point. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And here's the thing is, for weeks it's been college football on Saturday or some
Yeah,
sort of football on Saturday and pro football on Sunday. We've had the playoffs where we had games on Saturdays and
yeah,
Sundays. There's nothing on Saturday this week, Andy. There's
yeah.
nothing on
It's
Saturday.
winding
So
down, Dave. There's only three football games left to go for the
no,
pros. I mean,
it's
we're there.
it's a sad, sad time. So,
Yeah,
all right, Andy, let's jump into some topics
all right,
here.
let's do it.
Usually we've been starting with stuff fun and then going to like the more depressing stuff. I'm going to start depressing stuff first. So I'm starting my clock here, Andy.
Okay.
Uh, what we've got, let's start with a little bit more on the politics side. So a busy week already for the president and his team, getting a lot of things done, a lot of confirmation hearings ongoing. There's also been there's been movement on the border already. Trump is going to be sending troops down to the
Yeah,
border.
yeah,
Obviously, you can't just send troops down there to do a law enforcement mission. There's rules and laws against that, but they can support being a support function. It's not the first time National Guard troops have been deployed to the border. Several years ago has happened as well to provide support. So that stuff is ongoing. Andy, I want to call out two U.S. constitutional challenges that are happening right now. And what makes this country great is our Constitution. There's been a lot of things about it that have changed over the years. It's a living document in a lot of
yeah,
ways.
yeah.
Amendments are added, have to be ratified. Andy, two amendments are in particular are under challenge now. So the 14th Amendment, oh, I'm sorry, the 13th Amendment with the right to birthright is it
14th,
13th?
you're right. 14th
14th.
Amendment.
I was
You're right.
right. It's 14th. I don't know. 14th Amendment is birthright act, birthright
Yeah,
citizenship. So the Trump administration has already claimed they've wanted to challenge this, and for a lot of reasons, right? There are people who come to this country for the purpose of giving birth in this country, so they have that citizenship. Their children have the citizenship, um, and it was done in a lot of ways in the aftermath of the Civil War and who can and who cannot be citizens and so on. But that's under challenge now because they want to overturn that piece and make it so that if you're an undocumented immigrant and you have a child here, that child doesn't automatically become a citizen.
yeah,
So you can see the intent why they're trying to do that, but it's already been thrown out of court in one courthouse in I think it was in Washington State as being blatantly unconstitutional, Andy. So let's start there with the 14th Amendment. Do you think this has a chance of being turned over or changed?
I mean, I think there's a chance because we live in a crazy time where everything seemingly has a chance. I don't think it has a strong chance. I mean, it was immediately challenged by I think it was 22 states, Dave. They came and said like no way, there's established law. There's court precedent. Like this isn't an issue. And one would seem to think that that would be the case. The judge that looked at it a Ronald Reagan appointed judge, like just paused it, well, like almost mocking even the suggestion, like where were the lawyers when this was written, like saying this is not right, this is not doesn't make sense, this is JV. But Dave gets in front of the Supreme Court, that's where it's going to end up. Could the court read it differently? They could. I mean, we live in a time when strange things happen and new interpretations are possible. And so I think it has a low likelihood of success, but I think it has a possibility of success.
So, Andy, in this particular case, do you feel like it can be overturned legally? Is like saying like clarifying that way? Because in that respect, it could go through the legal process, but or does it have to be ratified? I mean, if we're making changes
Yeah,
to the Constitution, it requires two-thirds of the members in
yeah,
Congress to approve it, the proposal even. Then it has to be approved by the state legislatures, two-thirds as well, and then it has to be ratified. And
yeah,
as you said, 22 states have already opposed this, so it's out the door. But
yeah. No, no,
um,
no amendments being passed, but I think the way that King Trump is trying to do this is by the stroke of a pen. I mean, he's trying to. He's basically saying this, that he can do whatever he wants as president, right? And he is acting like king. I think one of his favorite roles is signing executive orders because it's the most powerful thing a president can do, right? You sign a piece of paper, and now that's the way it is. And so he's trying to use his executive authority to make it so, not by changing the language of the Constitution, by changing the interpretation intent of that language. And so it can, if the court rules like, no, this is the correct reading, then that's the way it is. So I don't think there's an effort to change the Constitution in this case. I don't think that would pass. There's no way it would pass. But can the interpretation be redefined? Could be. I mean, it's a Trump-friendly court that, again, doesn't seem to take much from precedent. They seem pretty open to new interpretations. They could, say, oh no, the president's right.
okay, so one that will require a constitutional change, like an amendment change,
Yeah,
is the 22nd Amendment. And Andy, this was put in place after Franklin Delano Roosevelt was a four-term president.
yeah,
The 22nd Amendment says no president shall serve more than twice.
yeah,
Um, and so, Andy, this yesterday, a Republican House member from the state of Tennessee said, President Trump has proven himself to be the only figure in modern history capable of reversing our nation's decay and restoring America to
yeah.
greatness, and he must be given the time necessary
Must be.
to, to accomplish the goal. It is imperative that we provide President Trump with the resources necessary to correct this disastrous course set by the Biden administration. He is dedicated to restoring the republic and saving our country, and we will, as legislatures and states, must do everything in our power to support him. Therefore, I propose amending the Constitution to revise the limitations imposed by the 22nd Amendment. Andy,
Yeah, yeah,
oh
yeah.
my God, like I want to vomit. Like this is unbelievable. So.
Yeah, I mean, it is remarkable. It is remarkable. It's fucking remarkable, Dave. I mean, look, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, you can argue that some people argue he was one of the greatest presidents of all time. I personally dislike him greatly. And one of the most significant reasons for my dislike is his absolute arrogance and defying historical precedent. Look, when you go against George Washington, you should pause and question, like, who the fuck do I think I am, right? Who do I think I am? Like, Washington was probably our finest president, and his actions were the standard for all the presidents that followed, and they followed his lead because he was the least douchebag of all of them. Still had his own issues, right? But he stepped down after two terms and set a precedent that everybody followed. And then FDR came along and said, I'm so indispensable to the nation. I'm going to run for four terms, even though I'm in bad health, even though I'm probably going to die in office. I refuse to give up the presidency. And that was a shithead move. And I will forever hold that against him. Here we are now. And look, other presidents would have run again if they didn't put the amendment in. They would have tried again. I think Reagan would have. I think Clinton would have. I think they would have for sure. Trump wants to serve till he dies.
Yep.
He's sort of jokingly, not jokingly, made comments like that over the last year. You know, like Congress, you're gonna have to do something if you want me to stay in office, blah blah blah. Now, how serious is this proposal from Tennessee's finest, Mr. Ogles? Look, I think this Trump ball handling. I think he wants the president to see, look, you know, Donald Trump, I love you, I support you, I want you to stay president. I think that's the biggest thing here. I don't think maybe he really believes it, but I think he wants to show the president, just like Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to be the first to put in you know, language for the Gulf of America, you know, name change, right? It's the Gulf of Mexico. But I think that's what this is. I think this is Trump ass kissing. But Dave, there will be people that support it. Now, it will not pass, right? A constitutional amendment will not pass. Like the standard is so high that there's no way. Like Republicans don't have that much of a majority in Congress or in state houses, so there won't be an amendment. But it opens up the conversation, and there are backdoor ways theoretically the president could serve again, pulling a Putin, right? You know, being a vice president and then that person stepping down, or sort of other chicanery to keep him in power. And look, that's possible, right? The language of the law says will not be elected for more than 2 terms, right? Now, if he runs as vice president and the president, say J.D. Vance, were to step down, he's not being elected to the presidency. Theoretically, by the language of the law, one could argue he's not violating the amendment, right? So like could we get into that kind of chicanery? Like we could, like it's possible. Does America want to see that happen? I don't think so. Does America want to see a vice president at 86 years old, you know, nominated? I don't think so. But is it possible? Dave, these are strange days, man. These are strange days.
Does America want to see somebody 86? Yes. Have you seen some of these people, Andy? Like a lot of these,
Yeah.
some of these people do want to see this man.
I spoke stupidly. No, I spoke
You know,
stupidly.
and you bringing up the Putin example, like that just completely deflated me because of course he would do that, right? Of course that would happen, right? Like how silly of me not to consider this
Yeah.
ongoing. God.
I'm dumb. I'm dumb. I'm sorry. I'm dumb. You're right. I do not appreciate the full level of enthusiasm. I tell you, honest to goodness, I don't think he could serve a 3rd term. I think America would
Yeah.
reject it, but I don't know, Dave. Look,
Yeah.
it's still early, man. It's oof. Next subject. Where are we going, Dave? Where are we
For
going?
any of our kids listening here, put your earmuffs on here. But Andy, I like how you weaved in like the cupping of balls into the
Yeah.
conversation. I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that like exactly what that is, right?
Yeah.
Like and can't you just see how that played out? Somebody like this representative from Tennessee who's a nobody, like you know, maybe is to his house, right? Or but he's a nobody in the large politics of it all. Somebody goes whispers in your ears, man, it'd be
Dave,
really
he's the former mayor of Maury County, Tennessee. So let's
sorry.
yeah,
Uh,
he was recognized as Tennessee's most conservative mayor. So pay
uh,
Andy Ogles some fucking respect.
Okay, well, but my point is this, like, hey, wouldn't it be great if we had somebody propose like a little devil on the shoulder, a little
Yeah.
Trump icon on your shoulder? Wouldn't it be great if somebody nominated for the 22nd? Like, you see how the president would love you for that,
Yeah.
and he'll give you a seat at the State of the Union or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, can you see how that works? I mean,
Yeah.
the same thing happens with Q bitch, right? You know,
Yeah.
that nightmare.
Yeah,
Um,
that's exactly right.
okay.
It's just how deeply can I take Trump's cock into my mouth is what's really being proposed here, Dave. Who can guzzle Trump's knob the longest and most satisfying? That's really what's happening in Congress today. That's the GOP today, right? It's a collection of Trump ball handlers that want to see who can most satisfactorily get the president off. And this man, Dave, on his website, Mr. Ogles, the honorable former mayor, Mr. Ogles, the way that when you go to his page, the first thing you see right now is Andy Ogles, quote, give President Trump a 3rd term. That's it. I'm here. I'm here for you, Don. I'm here for you. Pay attention to me. Love me, Daddy. Love
And
me,
this is
Daddy.
it. Yeah, definitely. If kids are listening to this, like we apologize for the last couple of minutes, but like it's very appropriate for what we're seeing in these things right now. It's amazing. So, Andy, we've gone way over on that, but maybe that just bleeds into our well, whatever, like a smorgasbord of a Friday we have here today. So, okay, Andy, I am going to go to a second topic
All
here.
right.
Whether we do a third one or not, I don't know. But we have to talk NFL,
Yeah.
Andy.
Yeah.
We got to talk NFL football.
Have a big weekend.
Big weekend, kind of a big weekend. We got two big championship games. We've got first the Eagles and the Commanders, and then we've got the Bills and the Chiefs. Andy, whew, this like at first I wasn't so geared up about the Eagles and Commanders, but the more I'm sitting back on this one, I'm looking forward to this game.
It's gonna be
I'm
good.
hoping Jaden Daniels continues his run because Jalen Hurts is not playing great football right now. Saquon Barkley is playing great football,
Yeah.
and that offensive line is playing great football. Do th- are the Eagles primed for an upset here? To be upset,
I think they could be upset. I don't know if I agree with the Jalen's not playing good football. I think Jalen's playing pretty good football. I think he gets underappreciated. He's doing what he needs to do to win, and they're winning, right? I mean, he's not maybe throwing up some of the numbers of other quarterbacks. He's not like losing games. I mean,
yeah,
he's helping his team win the way the Eagles win. Look, Washington could win this game. They beat the Lions, right? They could win this game. They've got the ability to do it. I don't think they will, right? I think, like we talked about earlier this week, Dave, when Washington beat Detroit, Washington played a nearly flawless game and
right.
everything went their way and the Lions just didn't. I mean, Dan Campbell said like, hey, we didn't even bring our B game. Like we failed, right? And he gave that with respect to Washington. But in his press conference, he was like, I think if we brought our B game, we would have won that game. We didn't even do that. Detroit just didn't play good football. I don't think it's going to happen twice, right? I think Philly is the more talented, more experienced, better team playing at home. I think they're going to have to do the same thing Detroit did. They're going to have to fail hard, and Washington have to play a nearly perfect game to win. It could happen. Like it's not going to be, it's not a gimme game. But I think Philly's the better team. I think Jaden Daniels may play a great game, but I think the talent of the Eagles is really high. It's a good team. They want to win. I think they're going to be able to pull it off. I think.
I think I agree with you. My biggest thing is the Lions were gashing the Commanders on the ground. Like it seemed like Gibbs would get 10 yards every time he
Yeah,
touched.
yeah,
And and they should have scored on just about every possession had it not been for the five turnovers, right? And if you take those away, where maybe the Lions relied too much on the pass, um, then that's exactly what the Eagles play. They run the ball, they run first offense, whether that's Saquon Barkley or Jalen Hurts, running the RPOs. So maybe that's it. Just Jalen just do enough to get us down, on the passing game, 150 yards. Maybe that's enough
yeah.
because they're going to get 300 yards rushing. Maybe that's going to be the winning formula here. Okay, so we'll see about that game. That's the first game on Sunday.
Prediction: Who's going to win though? Who's going to win that game in your mind?
I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'm going to
Yeah,
stick with the Eagles.
yeah,
So I think because the Commanders are going to have to play flawless, and I just don't think that they can. I think the Eagles are built differently in some respects, so um, they're not going to make they're not going to have five turnovers.
yeah,
Quite clearly.
yeah.
That's um,
Screw,
okay.
screw
Let's
you,
go to this.
screw you, Dave. But yeah, yeah, you're right.
Hey, my team still doesn't have a coach, Andy. Like, I don't, I have nothing here. Okay, so second game, rematch upon rematch. Everything is skewing the Bills' way. The
Yeah,
Bills did this, the Bills did that. The Chiefs get the refs' flags. The Chiefs continue to get over. They haven't scored 30 points all year. Mahomes is a crybaby. Mahomes is taking these late slides, all this stuff. Travis Kelsey, Taylor Swift, the devil signs, whatever the satanic things are for the Chiefs. Everything is lining up for the Bills to win this game. They won earlier in the season, but this is just where the Chiefs won it. Like you keep doubting them,
Yeah.
and they keep winning. And I don't know, Andy. It's going to be a good one, though.
I think it is. I think I really have a hard time even trying to pick a team in this game because you can make a good case for either one. I think we're in for another like great Chiefs Bills playoff game. I mean, Dave, nothing was more sort of heartbreaking, although I was laughing the whole time, than when the Chiefs had that 13-second victory drive
Yeah.
in overtime over the Bills. I think it was 2 years ago, if I recall, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yep.
And like you can see something like that playing out again, where it's just back and forth and last minute, last possessions, and the Bills can score, the Chiefs can score. Somebody's going to win this football game. I genuinely don't know who it's going to be. I think it really could go either way. It's going to be, and there's a great story. I mean, whatever the Super Bowl combo is of these four teams, it's a great story. There's a great matchup waiting for us. And part of me wants to see the Chiefs and the Bills both lose, so I really don't care.
Well, to that point is like one, the Chiefs storyline is a three-peat. There's never been a three-peat
Yeah,
before.
so hard.
So that it's so hard to do. And this is arguably the worst Chiefs team out, of those Super Bowl. They've won three, but 3 out of 5 years or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Um, the Bills, can they finally win a Super Bowl? They've lost, four, and they've had just terrible. The Music City Miracle and some of those other playoff losses have been really bad. The 13
painful.
seconds, of course. The Eagles, who have had good success over the last couple of years, but they're the city of Philadelphia, and it's just an angry, bitter seat. They always seem to have something coming their way. And then finally, you have the Commanders, who haven't done anything since the first Joe Gibbs era. So 1992, I think, was their last championship.
Hard to
Uh,
believe.
it's crazy, but they sold the team in '94, I think, and Daniel Snyder, like for all those years, it kind of reminds me of another owner in that division that just kind of hang up their team. So I don't know. So yeah, so I think that's going to be interesting, Andy, to see. So who do you got winning these games here?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to go Eagles winning their game, and Dave, I think the Chiefs will pull it off and win again at home. Look, while they haven't played great football all year, they've won almost every game. And like last week, they played really good football. I mean, they did put up good numbers. They showed some of that Chiefs magic. I think it's still there. I think they really want that three-peat, and they really want that. I think they're going to play with everything they've got, and I think Buffalo's going to come in and play a great game. I think the Chiefs will win, and I'm completely ready to be wrong about that.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to pull it out too. This has just got all the earmarks. Everybody's on Josh Allen. Everybody's on the Bills. This is their year. Blah blah blah. The Chiefs are just going to methodically, do what they need to do and win the game. I just feel more confident in Andy Reid than I do Doug Marrone. And then on the other side, I do think the Eagles are going to win. But if it's Philadelphia or if it's the Commanders versus the Bills, I can see that too. Um, so Andy, we're not going to do a full segment on this one because we're, watching the time and keeping everybody to where we typically are, 30 minutes or so. I do want to hit on one thing from last week's game. Mark Andrews he had a fumble on a big play
Yeah,
that led to Buffalo points, and then he had a drop 2-point conversion that would have tied the game with a 1 minute and 30 seconds left or so in the game. He's been getting, like, as it happens, we've talked about sports hate, and we've joked about like we hate Tom Brady or
yeah,
the Patriots or whatever out there. But like the reality is we don't actually go and issue death threats or
yeah.
call people or reach out to people.
Sports hate, sports hate.
So yeah, and that's what has happened to Mark Andrews over this week. Now, mind you, Andy, I'll go back. The Ravens would have just tied the game with 1 minute and 30 seconds left, and Josh Allen, who had played a great game all game, had two timeouts, and all he had to do was make it 40 yards, and then they probably would have won the game.
Yeah,
So there's always that outstanding. But because Mark Andrews dropped those two ball, had the fumble and the drop, he's getting death threats. Now, Andy, this is just proposed. Like, what kind of guys people go and do this? And I get you love your teams, but this is just really unacceptable.
Yeah,
And to that point, the Bills Mafia found out about this, and they set up a couple GoFundMe campaigns, as they've done in other instances as
that's
well.
right. Yeah, that's
They
right.
have donated money to Mark Andrews' favorite charities, which is a diabetes charity. Classy move by the Bills fans, classy moves, but really poor on those who are targeting Mark Andrews here.
Yeah, I mean it's gross, right? I mean, Dave, just like I mean, look, the Lions lost. It sucked. Jared Goff had some turnovers. Nobody's calling for his death, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Lions fans are heartbroken and disappointed. Nobody's calling for the man to get killed, right? Because that's insane. You don't say about anybody in pro sports, even if you dislike them, like that's going beyond like fun sports hate to like stupid threats, like genuine threats, right? And even though some of it might not have been serious, like it might be, could be, it could inspire somebody else to do it. It's gross to see it. And the Bills Mafia, like they're insane. Like those fans are absolutely
Yeah.
nuts, right? And it's great, right? And they've done this, like I said, they've done this before where they've come together and said, hey, we're going to support X cause, and they show up, right? They show up and they do it. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. And so, I feel bad. Mark Andrews is already going to be struggling after that drop. Like I'm sure he's in mental anguish, questioning his career future. Doesn't need to have that layered on top. But way to go, Bills Mafia, and coming together and saying, hey, look, we're gonna prop this guy up and support not just him, but his cause and those that he's trying to assist and be a support to. I think it's awesome. That's an awesome story. So, good job, Buffalo.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate. Like we love our teams, and I joke about my team, and Andy's rubs it in as much as he can. At the end of the day, like let's just remember, it is all sports. These people, like Mark Andrews, didn't try to drop these balls.
Yeah,
He's trying to win the game. He's trying to do much, and he is. Andy is a lot. He came in on Instagram yesterday and he's gutted. I think he used those words. He's gutted about what has happened and letting down the people of Baltimore, his coaches, his teammates. But this guy's got to move on. And look, he may never recover from it.
yeah,
Frankly, that's how sports work. You have one bad moment in one big game, and that's the end of it. And so he's going to have to live with that. And I hope he does because look, it is only sport. He's been very successful in his career. So shame on those who can't control themselves to the point where just fucking let it go, dude.
yeah.
So all right, Andy, I think that wraps up a Friday here.
Yeah, can I
Uh,
say it's officially, we talked about it a little bit, but just officially, Detroit did lose Aaron Glenn, now head coach of
oh
the New
yeah.
York Jets. Just
Yeah.
best of luck to Aaron Glenn as he heads off on his next adventure. He's been a great coach for the Lions, and great to see him go home where he played his career so well.
Yeah, that's a good point. You had talked about wanting to maybe cover some coaching stuff. We just ranted about that Texas or the Tennessee senator or representative. Uh,
Representative, show Andy Ogle some fucking respect this morning. I don't know.
put some respect on his name, right? Cupping the balls, Andy. Yeah. I
Fuck
can't
that
probably put
guy.
that in the I can't probably put that in the title of this podcast. It was just
I mean, just go where you feel you have to go, Dave.
okay. Maybe I could just maybe that intrigue people to listen more. So, all right, Andy. With that, have a good weekend. Enjoy the football, and we'll catch up on to you on Monday.